over the past, like, I want to say 3 days or 2 to 3 days, there's a very popular Reddit theory that it started gaining a lot of traction, that some of these websites started talking about it. So, as we know, Fantastic Four is going to take place on an alternate Earth, right? That's kind of been hinted at. In SDCC, it was brought up how, it looks different from the New York that we know. So, kind of confirming the alternate world. This one Reddit user kind of brought out the fact that we know what world they are from. And it is because of Captain America traveling back and staying with Peggy Carter. So that's right. This fan is suggesting that Cap going back in time is what creates this new version of a 616, thus creating the Fantastic Four in a very interesting, like, paradox loop.
I like that because the TVA and Loki really emphasizes the difference between like multiverse and just alternate timelines.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think out of all the theories that we've heard in terms of how they would introduce them, I think this one, if they are to go that way, right? Because again, nothing, this is complete fan speculation. It fits very well. And I think that's kind of the problem that a lot of people have had with the Fantastic Four. And Brando, you can kind of tell me if your feelings on it too. But I think a lot of us were caught up on the fact of, like, how are they going to introduce them into the world, and for it to, like, feel good without them just being like, well, here they are now. They've always been here.
Yeah, no, we've talked about it many times before on our road to the F4. And I just realized as we talk about F4, I got this.
Love it.
I've always questioned how they'd be introduced, obviously, like we just said. And I do like this theory very, very, very much. It would kind of explain why Doctor Strange referenced or had that Fantastic Four reference, because if they are from like a branched off timeline like that, I think he would have been able to see it with his time stone or just any powers or whatnot. Kind of like how
Yeah.
Wanda was able to. Well, she was able to travel the whole multiverse, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I don't know. It's freaking. I
so
want. I just want it to be. I still want them to be plopped in there.
yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? No pun intended. Uh, People don't want,
That
like, a
was fire.
convenient. Be careful because we're stretching it a little too far now.
Oh my god.
We'll stop with the bad puns, I promise.
I'm too
You'll never see them coming.
invisible
Yeah.
and then stream. Oh.
Oh, oh, not too technical difficulties. We don't need that in one, right? But what I was going to say, it does kind of fit in also with the fact that I think this was about a month or so ago. And it was on a week that we didn't really get to stream, so I don't think we got to talk about it as much. There was a new report suggesting that the Fantastic Four are already from our Earth. They were trying to get back to our Earth. And I think a lot of people were like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, what, where have they been? Why didn't people remember them or talk about them? Because it feels like that would be something that the MCU would talk about. But if it's slightly different, it kind of fits a little more now.
But the one thing that I'm troubling my mind is like how like that would be still like a whole separate timeline. So that would have mean they still would have traveled to that alternate timeline that was created from Rogers going back in time, right?
I mean,
Not that like because
it,
Roger, it's hard to wrap my brain around.
No, I
There's
agree.
just
It is
something that
like
feels off about it.
no, it does because I would agree with you. It's like Steve going back in time technically would create an alternate reality.
Yeah,
But the problem
that's the one
is
that he
that
lives on.
at the end of Endgame, he is back in the same timeline as an old man. So
Yeah.
it's some weird paradox almost, which they could lean into maybe. Um, but yeah,
Well, he probably saved that for his last stop and then just traveled back in time.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like you would,
Back in time, because that would be like
yeah,
years later for him, but
exactly,
moments for himself.
yeah. It it doesn't
But that
fit
still
all
doesn't
the
make
way.
sense how like that makes the 616 the Fantastic Four's home. Is what I'm
So
getting.
what they were saying is that since Steve goes back in his timeline, in the our timeline, to
Yeah.
go back with Peggy, it's still the 616 universe. So what would happen essentially from what I was reading as I hit my mic for a second time, that's how excited I am. Um, him going back in our timeline creates the Fantastic Four. So it would be like another cause of him
Like
going
a
back.
canon event? No, no,
Not
no.
like a canon
Cause
event, like
that's like, I don't get it.
him going back, right? Not only makes him old in the future, right, which
Okay.
allows him to be at the end of Endgame. Him going back leads to the creation of the Fantastic Four.
Okay. It's like how Loki stole the Tesseract.
Yes, but instead of going into the TVA in a different timeline,
He continued at that
he
timeline.
continues in that timeline.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Like,
that's what I was getting at.
yeah,
Not like throughout not like that Loki going on the whole TVA journey, but like that
exactly.
timeline.
Exactly. Like he would go back to Asgard and does something in Asgard.
Yeah.
And now Asgard is different because of that.
Hmm. That's such a crazy timeline. Captain America just doesn't get frozen and Fantastic Four is made. Technology is that advanced in retro. Damn. That
Well,
kinda
here's the
that
thing.
kinda makes sense.
He it would make sense because I do think that Cap would try to maybe seek out people like Tony Stark or not Tony Stark, Anthony Stark. Like he would
Yeah.
go to those people that could really make a difference and try to fix the problems before they come, which leads to other problems.
Yeah, and then that creates so many more multiverses though.
Exactly.
Or
So it's
timelines. Damn. No wonder why the secret no wonder why the 616 is blowing up multiverse wise.
like again, it doesn't fit all the
Causing
way.
too many timelines.
It doesn't fit all the way, but it fits in certain parts. Maybe, maybe
Interesting.
not. Yeah. Um, one last
We
really
need
quick.
that that makes me think that that Disney Plus show of Cap going through the
They need
timelines
to.
makes
They need
me
to.
makes so much more sense.
They need
It
to.
the people are holding on to that theory to the dear end by thinking about something like this,
Dude.
because they
Dude.
probably theorize that by being like, "Oh my god, they could connect it with, like, that being the cause for it, and then boom, go back and show it in a Disney Plus show."
Yeah.
And that would be heat, and that would be freaking heat. Oh my god.
It would. And again, I think that's the best use of that moment.
I never wanted that show. Like, I was never a fan of
Me
wanting a
neither.
Cap traveling back, but if they do some shit like that,
And that's the thing.
that would be cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's
It's
like,
like what if
again,
should have been done. It's like
there
what
you go.
what if should
There
have
you
been.
go. There you go. You took it out of my mouth where it was gonna be making what if cool. You know what I mean? Like it actually having consequences for the greater universe.
Mhm.
Um again, could they do it? Possibly. Will they? I'd say this is like instead we are likely getting a Cottonmouth series. Probably. I would say this is like a 5% chance of happening though. current MCU level wise, I don't see them leaning into it, but I think it would fix a lot of their problems. Or not a lot of their problems, but it would fit a nice piece of the puzzle that people had questions on.
Yeah.
And I think people would be satisfied because you connected back to Endgame, which is a very loved movie.
Yeah, no, I think I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. One last thing on Fantastic Four. This came out last week, right? Quick guess. For those of you that didn't see, filming was in Spain, Barcelona, last week as they finished filming. And it was interesting because people that were close to the set got pictures of a cast member that they covered. They
Hmm.
covered their face and most of their body, which led to people speculating hugely on the internet, right? Because why would they go to the lengths of protecting this person's identity? Why would they do that? Because every other cast member has been seen out in broad daylight during these sets in Spain. So, Shadow Brando, who do you think is this mystery cast member?
It's gotta be RDJ. Has to be.
But here's the thing,
No
as
pun
I said,
intended.
no pun intended. Why go to the lengths to hide him? It makes sense for him to be in the movie, doesn't it?
Because they, well, it does make sense, but SDCC revealed him to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars and never mentioned Fantastic Four. So that's why I
Mhm.
think he's just gonna be like, I think the rumors are true that he's just gonna be like towards the end and post credit scene. Unless they
Okay.
got a lot of film, I don't know. Unless they got a lot of filming done out of him there, or have been doing it like elsewhere. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did it elsewhere. Have there been set photos of the Silver Surfer? There has not. There really hasn't been set photos of like them in costume. The only costumed people we've seen are the Fantastic Four.
Oh, it could be actually. Yeah, no, that's another theory. Is it could be Norrin Rad
I,
because I think Norrin Rad is the Silver Surfer in the 616, but that alternate timeline
yes.
is the Natasha Lyonne.
Mm-hmm. I see this going one of three ways. The first one, what you said, RDJ. I think that's the most simple and most likely answer. I just don't see why go through the trouble of.
And Pedro also posted like a dinner picture or something and blurred the dude's face out in
Did
that
he?
picture. Yeah,
Okay.
I do remember seeing. I saw that recently,
Okay. Yeah, it could be. I
and
just again,
he had kind of like gray hairs at the bottom. So it's a lot of
but that
people are
could be
saying it's not
anybody.
RTJ
I was gonna say
because
that
of
could be
that.
anybody. So there's that, right?
Interesting.
RDJ. Silver Surfer was gonna be my second guess. It would be Norman Rad, whoever's playing him. Third is it's a member of the MCU that we already know. They just don't want the surprise to be ruined.
Mm.
My personal very big brain theory, very big brain, not going to happen. It's Tom Hiddleston.
Oh.
Because if you bring in Loki,
I
this
think
is the movie.
I like that. I like that. I feel like that picture I saw kind of matches Hiddleston also.
They made it vague enough to be a
That
couple of
he was
people.
tall. That dude was tall. That was being like carted in that suit thing or like being covered. You could see him hunching over, and Hiddleston is pretty tall, isn't he?
I think so. No, he's not. I don't think he's about five something. But we don't know how tall this other person was. Like the cast, the member that we see holding like the jacket or blanket over them.
That's true.
We don't really know how tall that person is, so I don't know if we can go off that.
That is very, very good point. I'm excited for the movie,
I'm I'm
nonetheless.
I'm getting there. I will say maybe during a Super Bowl we get some answers.
I'm hoping. One can only hope.